Was there a defining moment in your youth when you decided you wanted to make music for a living? Was there ever a possibility of another career path?
Nah, pretty much was decided by the age of 9, you know. I mean, I always thought it was only a matter of time before I joined the Beatles. I'm actually still waiting for the call, but... yeah, I kind of... I don't know, I never wanted to do anything else, but I don't look at it as like, you know, in a way, I would say, when people say, what do you do? I say, I'm a musician, but I don't know, I'm not like, it's not like I'm some virtuoso on some instrument, you know. I just regard myself as an artist. I mean, I went to art college and, you know, I was heavily invested in that. I wanted to be like a painter, but I always wanted to play music as well. And in the end, the music took over. Yeah, so, and I never really, I mean, there were various points where I thought I should do something else, or I felt like I couldn't take it anymore, because it's a tough life. If you struggle in music, there are points where it's really tough, where you know, you are definitely not flavour of the month, and you feel out of the loop, and you don't know who you should be playing to, and people are telling you do this and do that, and you're wondering who's right and who you should listen to. And there were points I just wanted to walk away, in a way. I wanted to walk away from all that, but I never wanted to stop making music, so I kind of carried on until it got to a point where it was too late to stop. I thought, well, I remember trying to get a job once, you know, to make ends meet, and like this woman said, well, with respect, Mr. Goulden, you don't have much of a work record. And I thought about that, and I thought, I've been in the same job. Well, now I've been in the same job for over 40 years. And I stuck at it through thick and thin. I think that's a hell of a work record, but it wouldn't convince many employers.
Yeah. No, I see your point, absolutely. 40 years in the one job, there wouldn't be many people that could claim that.
No, and like, you know, like my wife said, well, people think we're, because she's a musician too, she said, people think we're unemployable, but what we do on a daily basis would send most people round the twist. They couldn't actually cope with it. I mean, at the time, we were trying to get into a high security venue. We were in Italy, and we had just driven for 19 hours straight, and we were trying to get into the venue, which was locked down with security, and no one would believe us who we were. We were opening for Yola Tango. And yeah, but we managed it. I mean, we sorted it all out, and like that's when Amy said to me, most people would say like that we were unemployable, but this is what we are, is logistics experts. We can make all this happen.
Yeah. I've always had the impression that fame has never been a motivating factor in your music career. Have you ever intentionally gone out of the way to avoid fame at any point?
Oh, I think so. I mean, like, without even realising it. You know, I mean, it's like there was some point where I needed some press cuttings, but I didn't have them, and my mother said, oh, I've got all of them. I kept them all because I knew you wouldn't. And I said, why did you know? She said, well, you know, you weren't really interested in all that. You know, I mean, I'd be on the front of the NME, and I go, Yeah, right, okay, what are we going to play? And that's E minor chord, that, isn't it? You know, I'd be much more interested in that. I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, it's great fun, isn't it? You know, when you've got a hall full of people and you're on the stage with a light on you and you're showing off and all the rest of it. But, you know, I never wanted to be on the TV or anything. Because my ambition was different. I'm driven by the creative thing, I suppose. I think it's better in the long run, but it's not a good business model.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I mean, like major players, major league kind of music business people can sense that you're not going to do very well for them, I think. Really. But look, you know, I mean, I think my all-time hero is Neil Young.
Yeah.
Who has, well, I understand. I mean, like, he would just do anything that he wanted to do, you know, and if he wanted to do sort of like really mellow acoustic stuff, he would do that. And then people say, okay, that's him, he does the mellow acoustic stuff, and the next tour it's Crazy Horse doing Wells, you know, and like, he said, what? But we want Neil. I mean, the wonderful thing when he did Tonight's the Night in London, and like, you know, they kept on playing that tune, Tonight's the Night, you know, and all that.
Yeah.
And it gets to the end and people have been shouting for Heart of Gold and all that. He says, and here's one you've heard before. Then he does Tonight's the Night again. And that other great story, a more recent one where someone was shouting out for all these different songs and he just called them up on stage. He said, and the guy's really pleased because Neil Young's called him up on stage. He says, he looks at him, he says, you know, I have a lot of money. I'm very rich. I don't have to do this. I do this because I want to. You are really annoying me now. How much did it cost you to get in? And he goes, what the hell? Gave him the money and had a couple of security men escort the guy out the building.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I mean, yes. I think, you know, like, I think I understand Neil Young very well.
I haven't heard that story before. That's a ripper. I love it.
Yeah.
It's been well documented. Your time at Stiff Records wasn't always a happy one. If you had your time over again, knowing what you know now, would you have still started your career there, or do you think you needed to go through that experience with them?
I never felt it wasn't kind of like, hey, I'm going to start a career in the music business. I've got the demos and I've got the press package and I'm off I go, you know, and all that. It was nothing like that. You stumble into these things. I mean, like, people think with hindsight, you know, the value of kind of hindsight. People think you orchestrated all this, but it was never like that. It was a they looking for people, and like I could make a cassette of some stuff and take it along, and they'd probably laugh at me. And like, you know, go, oh, well, what's to lose? Yeah, okay, here we go. Hey, you know, we heard your cassette. Oh, I'm terribly sorry about it. No, we love it. Would you like to make a record? Sure, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll give it a go, yeah. Great, you know, thinking, actually, I want to make a record more than anything in the world, but you have to be a bit cool about this. So, like, you know, I made a record, and I made another record, and, like, you know, bit by bit, people start saying, you know, what you should do is this, you should listen to these songs and try and write some stuff that's like this, because, you know, what we need is a more pop direction, and we need this, and you're going, I was just a bloke that made a cassette, you know, I was a guy that was playing in bands. I was just going, well, I've got this song and it goes C, E, G, F. I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, and it's all like that. But suddenly there were it gets into business and it gets into people who have their own agendas. I mean, if someone tells you to remix it, I don't know, I think you should just go back in, give us another mix of that song, maybe tweak it a bit, you know, and they probably want to be the person who says when it's a hit, they can, if it's a hit, you know, they can be the person who said, yeah, I told them, I said, you know, take it back in, remix it. I had that belief. They don't really, they just want to make sure that, like, so you give them the same mix in a different box and they go, yeah, you've got it now. And it's exactly the same. You know, there's stuff like, when you start to think, this is really dumb. This whole business is dumb.
Just the same though, did you feel a kinship to the other artists at Stiff? I know Ian Drew was a good friend. Did you feel overall that you a sense of belonging there?
Not, no, because like the thing is, we did the Stiff tour, that first Stiff tour, and it was Ian and Elvis and me and Nick Lowe and Larry Wallace, and right before that tour started, the whole label fell apart. And at the end of it, Jake left. I mean, there were lawsuits going on, all kinds of stuff. So it wasn't actually this cohesive thing that it appeared to be. I mean, it was all over, really. So, like, really, that first Stiff tour was its dying gasp, and the rest of it was this different Stiff records that then the second Stiff tour. I'm good friends with Lena Lovitch. I don't see her that often these days, but me and Lena are friends, and I bump into Jonah Louie, and he's very nice, you know, in his way. He's a mad person, really, but I don't know, I mean, like, no, I don't feel any. I'm not really that interested in what Nick Lowe or Elvis Costello do. It's not my. I don't know. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I have a respect. It's just like, you know, I'm not really. It's just. It's kind of beside the point for me.
Yeah.
And I miss Ian terribly. I think he could have done with some guidance in his later records, which he wouldn't have invited, certainly. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, the rest of it. I mean, there's, well, you know, probably wouldn't know who Martin Stone is. He was a guitar player. He was in Savoy Brown. He was in a band called Mighty Baby. He was in The Action. And later he was in a band called Chilly Willy and the Red Hot Peppers with Phil Liftman. And Peter Thomas, who was later in the Attractions, and he was also in the Pink Fairies and the 101ers, you know. And Martin was a good friend of mine. He's no longer with us, but he made a record for Stiff Records at one point as well. But I don't really think I have. The thing is about Stiff, I think, you know, the whole thing start to finish for me was less than 5 years. And 5 years out of something like 42 years is not a lot, really.
No, true.
Most of my career and my activity is post Stiff Records, but of course it was very successful. It was of the moment and everything, so that's what people know me for. And I don't think I have a problem about that, as long as they don't expect me to recreate the era for me, because I can't do that. Yeah. I don't I'm very anti-nostalgia. I think actually the past, it's very nice sometimes. You look back, you say, yeah, do you remember the old telephone boxes or something? You know, but I mean, really the past is something that exists. I think the great purpose of the past is for you to learn from. You learn so much. If you look back and you examine what you did, you will find that the same things basically happened in different versions time and time again.
Yeah.
Until you learn the lesson. You have to learn the lessons that the past is trying to teach you. You know, it will come back time and time again, the same thing, you know. You can be the guy who has the nightmare girlfriend. Or you could be the nightmare guy with girlfriends and nice girlfriends, and you can be the nightmare girlfriend, you know, like, but there are reasons for it, and it repeats, it just goes every time the same old story in a different version until you figure it out.
The song most people seem to identify with you, of course, is Whole Wide World. Has your relationship with that song changed through the years? Has it come to the point sometimes resenting it because people don't look past it?
No, well, I did. I mean, I think I probably went through a point. I mean, I was in a band. I had a couple of bands in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s, and we never played it. I didn't think it was, you know, I mean, it didn't seem as that important to, really. I mean, like, I was never kind of, even a year after it came out, it was like we were going on starting the tour, and the new album, like my second album came out, and like the sound man came down to the rehearsal, and he's going, okay, I need to, like, you know, have a listen to what's going on. He said, just play the set. So we played the set. She says, great, but where's Whole Wide World? What do you mean, where's Whole Wide World? I mean, who's going to want to hear that? That was last year. You know, and like, I didn't think that, I honestly didn't think that people would want to hear something that we did last year. So there was an element of that, and then like in the 80s and 90s, I really didn't think anyone would be wanting to hear that stuff, you know. So, you know, I didn't really play that stuff. Play this other stuff, which was what I was doing, and then I realised that there are different ways of doing this. I mean, I never wanted to be someone who went out and trotted out all their old tunes, and like, I've seen people do that, and they play the same set for 20 years. And by the end of 20 or 30 years of playing the same old stuff, it's like a piece of glass that's been worn smooth in the sea, in the ocean, and it's no longer the thing that it was. So you have to work on ways to keep this stuff alive, to keep it meaning something. You know, but I'm very, very pleased to play songs sometimes that people know, you know, especially A Whole Wide World, because it has had a remarkable effect, you know.
Oh, sure has,
and
yeah.
I feel I would be more than just churlish if I said, oh, I'm not doing that, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it would be damn stupid, because you dream of having, as a musician, like, you can imagine having, like, I used to think it would be great if you, imagine you'd written Gloria, the Van Morrison song, them did, and, like, every band that ever got together in a garage would play that song, and I thought, wouldn't that be great? And I suddenly realised that I had that. Because every band that gets together, like all these bands that I meet, like garage bands and stuff, they go, yeah, we played Whole Wide World when we first started, you know, and like, it's all this kind of thing. And wow! And I wrote that. That's my record. I mean, that's a fantastic thing. When it's a bit miserable, oh, I'm not playing that. You know, a bit awful.
You generally...
but at the same time, I have to find some way to keep the damn thing alive.
Yeah.
For me, there are some songs that I don't do because they don't really have any meaning for me, and people say, well, why can't you play that? I mean, what, you know, what, you could do it, and I just go, look, I'd be doing as both of us a disservice if I did. You know, but I try, I work with the catalogue, if you like. I look at things and go, and then I discover something sometimes, but, you know, don't always happen. Yeah. And it depends on the mood. Yeah.
You've pretty much steered away from professional recording studios through the years. If you'd been constantly forced to do so, do you think you would still be making records today?
I think I would have thrown myself under a bus. Eventually I started to go back into recording studios to do things with other people, and I'm going, what? The engineer don't know what he's doing. And I'm like, come on, and like, you know, and they're sort of like trying to do something. I go, you have to do that and do that, and they're going, how do you know that? I said, I've got my own place. I mean, like, you know, and I'd be showing them how to do stuff. And which they, you know, it's like, I remember going to the studio once and I was like, there's a bit in the mix that's, it's too long. We need to edit it. And the guy says, well, we'll have to mix it again, but it's going on a half-inch tape. I go, oh, all we have to do is chop a piece out. He said, what? I chop a piece out of the tape? And I go, yeah, it's very simple. And the guy's sort of like, well, I don't know how to do that. And I was thinking, this guy is this engineer, he don't know how to edit tape. And I thought, okay. So, like, I get the Chinograph and I mark it all up and I get all up and I find out the two places. Okay, we're going to edit it to this snare beat here, and this will work it. And so eventually, like, they find a razor blade and like, I've got it on the editing block and I cut the tape and I said, okay, and then I run this spare stuff that we're not using off onto another tape, and then I've got the thing ready to splice it together. So where's the editing tape? So he says, what's that? I said, okay, have you got any Scotch tape? And I'll put it together with Scotch tape. That's what went to the mastering room.
Oh, God.
Yeah, with a note saying, can you check that edit holds together? It did. But, you know, I so, like, from being kind of like, people said, you don't know what you're doing. I thought, well, no, but if I did, I'd know what was going to happen, and then I really don't see the point in doing what I'm doing. It would be a boring exercise. This is an adventure. And I got to a point where, in some ways, yeah, I definitely do know what I'm doing. I know what I'm about and what I'm trying to achieve and what I think will work and everything. And it's exciting and interesting, and like I have ability. Yeah, and people actually come. I don't record many people, but people come to me out of preference. You know, they say, "Well, we tried other studios, but you know, because like, I learned a lot." I learned an awful lot. The equipment works. Everything works. I mean, like it's, I go to these places and I say, well, can we use that? And it's not working really rather well at the moment. I go, well, why is it not working? And I go, I don't know. It's kind of lame. So, I mean, I never want to be like that. Everything works. And I kind of I'm fluent in what I want to do. It's like a language, really. It's like, well, I want to make this record that's going to sound like this, and I want to record these people, and I want to capture this, and like, I don't have to think about it. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
I kind of have a feel for it. I think it's going to be that microphone, it's going to be there, and it's going to be used this amplifier and this, and we'll put everything like that, and it will work somehow,
I've seen you quoted on more than one occasion saying that you feel you do your best work when you're pretty sure no one cares about what you're doing. I imagine...
I think you do. Well, if you're kind of like, I've been in recording situations with people who are sort of like, you're going, okay, and we're going to get this 10-watt amplifier, and we're going to put a microphone into it, and we're going to put it in the bathtub, and not with the water running, but, with a microphone at the other end of the bathtub, and you'll sing into it, and then, that will be, but will it be accessible? And you sort of, I don't know. Well, if I mean, like, that was an early lesson, actually. I mean, look at the career of Elvis Costello. No one was going to be interested in that. Not because he wasn't good, but it was not something that was considered, like, commercially viable. But Jake Riviera decided it was commercially viable and convinced the world that it was. Now, if a record label get hold of something and they believe in it, they will make it commercially viable. Mm-hmm. They'll make everyone will want the Beyonce album, single, whatever it is, because they've told them they've, worked the machinations that make that happen. But people get into these situations and they're trying to do something creative, but they're cramping themselves the whole time with this kind of, is this good? Is this okay to do? Is this allowed? Is this, the best way is that, look, no one actually gives this damn whether you do this. No one is beating a path to your door. It doesn't really matter. Just get yourself free of all that and do what you would like to do, or just go with it. Sometimes things come out differently to what you think they're going to come out like, and you think for instance, you might think you're going to make some sort of majestic kind of dream pop kind of thing, and it comes out sounding more like a garage track. So, like, what are you going to do? Try and, maybe your dream pop vision was not the one, and like you sometimes have to adapt very quickly and go, I think this is good, I'm going with this. This is what's happening. You have to, but people are so kind of intent on hedging their bets with things when they record. They don't. They want to leave the decisions. Well, we recorded the guitar completely clean because we're not sure if we want it to be distorted or clean, but we can always make it distorted later and reamp it and put it through some stuff. And it's like, you could, but the whole reality of this is kind of then your reaction to it when you're making this film will not be the same. Like you don't want to be imagining what the end product is going to be. Your imagination should be free to go for much more crazy and bigger potentials than that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's very difficult to explain. And I just think that Yeah, as long as you know that no one cares whether what you do, and you're just going to do it with some belief. I think it helps to be out of your depth and like not sort of going, yeah, I got this, I know what this is going to be, this is going to be this, I'm going to do that, and he's going to do that, and they're going to do that, and then I'll do this, and it'll be, yeah, okay. You know, it's kind of glib.
Yeah.
It's better to be out of your depth.
So a bit of pressure creates good work.
Yeah. So it's a balancing act between thinking it out, not overthinking it, and freeing yourself from the outside pressures.
You're based in America these days. Since you've been there, you've been writing a lot of songs about the country. Have you often found that through the years your surroundings can inspire your writing? Yes,
that's why I moved away from London. I thought it was, and then I was living in Brighton for a while in England, and suddenly it was full of people. Like someone said to me once in Brighton, "Oh yeah, I'm writing a book," and I went, "Oh really? Neither am I." Because that's what it was kind of like, surrounded by people who are doing all these amazing things like making an album, preparing an exhibition, editing an anthology of poetry, and making a film and all this kind of thing. And I'm thinking, well, I want to be somewhere where people have more kind of real problems than that. Yeah, but I mean, the place you live, I don't know, if I did an album that was called America, which was A-M, small a, small m, capital E-R-I-C, small a, and I think I did it because I could, and to say, yeah, it's about America, but it's mostly about me.
Yeah.
And some of it, I suppose, was my reaction to the place in some ways, and the last album, Construction, Time and Demolition, some of it, I mean, the first track on that is called Gateway to Europe, and that's actually, I wrote that after the Brexit vote, England leaving the European Union. Because I remember when England went into Europe, and I wrote a song about that, but really it's mostly about me, being in a band, which I hope isn't too boring a subject. And, there's a lot of songs recently that have been about time and the nature of time, and I suppose I'm quite sort of taken up with the nature of existence, because people I know keep dying and stuff, and you start to get to facing up to your own mortality in a way, So that's another kind of part of it, but I mean, I do so much touring and so much travelling, and I'm seeing so much stuff, and I don't really have anything I feel that I want to say when I'm just sitting at home, so the inspiration does come when I'm out touring, travelling. I start to see stuff, and my mind starts to work, I suppose. So, I don't know. And as far a lot of the touring is in America. America gets written about, it gets in there. But I don't know if people understand what things are about, or like whether these things are about something. Like what is a song about? Why should it be about something? Why should it be? I don't know, why should it be about one thing? And it's like, but someone said like the other night, I played a song called Unnatural Act from the new album, and this guy says, that's kind of about Trump, isn't it? And I was sort of like, well, I would have thought it was, and I think it is about those people. So sort of, but no one has ever spotted that before. I don't know what people think my songs are about.
Do you see America differently now as a resident than what you had previously as a visitor?
I knew America, and I always loved America, and I loved coming to America, and I loved Americans, and like, I don't know, people talk a lot of crap about people, like, you know, it's like someone was telling me how dreadful Germans are, and actually said to me, scratch a German and you'll find a Nazi underneath. And I think it's just an awful thing to say. It's not true. It's like, yeah, scratch an American, you got a Trump-supporting Republican, racist, kind of sexist, you know. Well, it's not true. It's like... I used to say at one time, there are two types of Americans. There are the ones that you absolutely love, and there are the ones that you can't stand, that you detest. Which I thought was a bit broad, but I think Americans, like, when I first lived here, people would say, well, what are you doing? I say, I'm doing this, and I'd be a bit defensive, I suppose, and they say, well, that's absolutely amazing, and I'm on the point to sort of, like, you know, there's no need to be sarcastic, you know. But it's like what people in England don't understand. I don't know what kind of view Australians have of Americans, but when an American says have a great day, they actually really mean it.
Yeah.
They have a naivety and a belief, you know, and I'm sure they're losing that bit by bit, but it's that, you know, anything's possible. This is America. Anything's possible. You know, you've got a dream. You're in the right place. And people have said, man, like, they said to me when I first was moving here, like, yeah, if you're prepared to work and you've got something you want to do, you can make it happen here, and you can make a good living and everything. And I sort of realised that it's true. You know, there isn't that kind of thing in Europe where you say, oh yeah, I'm doing this, I'm making a record, and you know, oh yeah, well that's not going to get anywhere, is it? You know, there's an attitude like that in England, which you don't have in America. Americans are very positive.
Hey, you're now married to a wonderful songwriter, Amy Rigby, and you've collaborated together. Has a little bit of your songwriting approach rubbed off on each other? Have you sort of influenced each other as writers?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. You know, like, yeah, well, I mean, we started a band together, which was just the two of us, and it was called Wreckless Eric and Amy Rigby, and we always said, yeah, we're a band, and we had to, really, so otherwise we would never have seen anybody and each other, and our relationship would have never have got off the ground. So, but I mean, at the beginning, we made 3 albums together, and the first one, I think it was really strange. It was like Amy thought that I would take the slack up and I'd write the songs, and I was saying, right, you got any songs, you know, because like I'm thinking, oh good, I don't have to worry about that, I can just do the recording. And it ended up she would be upstairs writing the song, and I'd be shouting up the stairs, have you finished that? I'm nearly ready for it, you know. And I would be recording, and I'd be playing everything, you know. And then we made another album, and I had to, you know, she would do a bit and come in and do a bit of music. And she started to arrange harmonies, and like, it's like, I mean, like, when it comes to that kind of thing, I just do anything that I'm told, really, when it's Amy, because she's a brilliant harmony arranger. And I don't know, it's funny, we think differently. Amy has the song, and I just listen to a song, like she plays a song for me, like I know exactly what to do, right? It's going to be this, and it's going to be this, and like I see them like records. And with my stuff, sometimes like I don't really write. I feel like I don't write songs. I make records, and then I have to extract the song from it sometimes. And so it's a strange thing between the two of us. But she has got much more involved musically. I mean, like when we do guitar stuff together, like I'll do the frenetic stuff and the and the kind of oddball stuff and like the stuff that I call bad weather. It's just feedback and kind of discords in the back of it, and she will come up with something that is so simple and kind of melodic and complements that, which I could. Well, we come up with things that each of us couldn't do, I play the bass, and she plays great piano. Nothing flashy. It's just like, I don't know, and we have a language about it, I suppose. And I go, those big open chords on the bottom end. She goes, yeah, I know. And she knows exactly what I mean, and like, and then she's doing these. She comes into the studio and she goes, yeah, I got this harmony idea, and she's just almost whimpering. It sounds like she's going, and I never say, well, is this an idea? And I never try and hurry her. I'm very kind of like, because I know that it will be brilliant, but it's going to take some figuring out. So I just always, it's part of that thing. It's very important to have that patience in the studio. Yeah. And I think we've just made each other stronger. I mean, one of the things Amy would say to me, like, other people are so much more successful, and I don't know, as people say, maybe I missed the boat. So, well, you have to work at it a bit, I mean, you should start practicing. She practices now. We were both rehearsing the other day. I was learning some stuff, like, that I had to play on for another band, and she was rehearsing a set, and we were in different rooms doing it, and like the doors, we just opened the doors and we ended up playing together in 2 different rooms. And it was like, I don't know, some of what I was playing was getting mixed up with some of what she was playing, and then it became something else. We go, hey, that's good. It's yeah, I don't know. Amy has a great discipline. I don't know. It's just a gift for writing songs. And I don't know. I wish some of that would rub off on me, because I never felt like I was much of a songwriter. I just was more of a record maker.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do. I mean, the songwriting, I never found it was that easy. I mean, like, I'd have to apply myself to it, but I never found this thing that Amy has where she is supremely confident in that. I never was,
Hey, before I let you go, Eric, we'll talk about your upcoming shows here in Australia. Are you coming solo, or are you bring some players out with you?
Oh, no, I'm not bringing anyone with me. It's difficult enough for me to get there. Yeah. And I play a lot of solo shows because it's not an economic kind of thing. It's I find that if I'd had the same band for 40 years, it would be different. But a lot of the time I find that if I say, okay, I want to play this stuff, and then I'm stuck with, like, okay, we're going to play half of this album and half of the America album and 3 songs from the Stiff era or something, and that's what I'm stuck with, because that's what they've learned. And it's like, and then quite often I feel like I'm taking flight. I'm off somewhere, but I can't get to where I want to be because I'm surrounded by actors who are reading off the script.
Yeah.
So I find that I get further without a band. People were very sceptical about that at one time, but, you know, it's actually the consensus now. It's like, yeah, you don't need a band. You know, it's not what I do. I mean, sometimes it is. I did a set the other night with the Pink Monkey Birds, Kid Congo's band.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Kid Congo and the Pink Monkey Birds. Yeah, they backed me. It's great. But that was fun, but, you know, it's kind of like you're limited to what people know.
Yeah.
And what... I don't know, you know, a lot of musicians are kind of like... I wish they would learn to listen and to react and not just like go into this deer in the headlights, like, you know, a sort of rabbit in headlights going, you know.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you down here just the same. It's been a long, long time, so you got an eager crowd here waiting for you.
Great, I can't wait.
No, well, neither can we.
I mean, like, believe me, I'm terrified. I'm jumping off into the unknown in a different hemisphere. Is it true that the bathwater goes the other way? I can't imagine. I don't know if I imagined that.
To be honest, I have heard that. I've had that question put to me before. I'm not sure. What way does it go round over there?
I'm going to check before I leave. I think it goes clockwise.
Yeah, I think it goes clockwise here too. So, no, I think we're the same. That might be an old wives' tale, I think.
Yeah, I think it's people who think that, like, because you're in the southern hemisphere, you're going round orbiting whatever it is. Are we orbiting the sun, or is the sun orbiting us? The other way. Well, anyway, I'm going to find out.
Yeah, you will when you get here, yeah. And no need to be terrified, we'll be gentle with you.
Great, okay. And I'll let everyone know once I've got this bathwater thing sorted out. I'll make sure that everyone's up to speed.
Oh, that'll be worth the trip alone for you, just to find that out.
I think so, yeah. Right. Okay,
good, Eric. Thanks a lot.
Anyway.
Looking forward to seeing you.
See ya.
All the best.
Great, thanks. Bye.